Bricktopian. Hi there everyone, I'm back for another video, and today I will be taking a look at the LEGO Minifigures series. This is series 25 and it contains 12 different characters. As you may notice, there are 12 boxes here, and that is because I have bought all 12 from a seller on eBay. And I was going to do a video where I guessed what was in which box, but I have realised that the seller I got it from has actually labelled each box with what figure is in it. So I'm not doing that. But the first thing, is I don't really like the fact that they're in boxes now. I would have preferred it if they were just in the packaging like they used to be in the little bags. But I get they'd have to maybe do it for the environment, but I also do think it's a secret conspiracy to make it so you have to buy more copies to get the ones you want because they're harder to work out what's in them. But obviously the person I bought these off has worked it out, and I imagine they've done it by weighing them because I've heard some people do that. But the box itself does look nice, and it's nice and clear, the picture, and you get to see most of the figures on there. You get to see 8 of them. Well, apart from this thing they've stuck on that's covering it. But yeah, you can see there's 12 there, 12 to collect, series 25, it's 5 plus. It is set number 71045. And yeah, and the back is pretty straightforward. But anyway, this is what you get if you get 12. And you could basically open one up. So I would probably just unpeel it, I guess. Like this. This one, by the way, is the dog groomer one. So you would just open it like this, I guess, at the side, and then you would pour it out to get find the parts. I've just dropped the head. But basically, yeah. You just open it at the side like that, I think. And what you can do is I'm gonna open all of these, and then you get to see what is in the series. I have a few personal favourites. I think from before opening them, I think my favourites are the Mushroom Girl one, and probably the Noir Detective. I think it's called Noir Detective, but the detective one. It's like black and white. I think that looks really nice. I love that one. Especially with the red herring that comes with it. I think that's really like a clever play on words. But anyway, let's have a look at all these figures built so you get an idea. So as I mentioned, the first one I've opened is the dog groomer, and the first thing I noticed how much I love is the external hearing aid that's in grey and attached to the hair like that. I think that looks fantastic, and it's a great inclusion for LEGO to include more characters with different kinds of hearing, sight, or other disabilities. You get accessory of the scissors, which is quite common and not the most exciting in the world, and you get a spare one. But I still think it makes sense to have with this particular figure. The torso is nice, it's got a nice dog paw on there, and it's a teal top, and teal is, by the way, my second favourite LEGO colour after dark red. The legs are actually like an azure colour. They're not, they look, from certain angles you might think it's teal as well, but it's not, it's azure. I personally think it might look better if the legs were teal as well, but that's fair enough. The back doesn't really have any printing on, which is a bit of a shame apart from this bit here, and the legs don't either. But it does have an alternative face, which is really nice. And I like the smiley face at the front, that looks really good. But overall, this isn't one of my favourite figures, but the highlight of this figure to me is actually the Afghan, which comes with it, which is a brand new piece of a dog, and I just love getting new dogs anyway. And Afghan's got an unusual choice because it's not as known or popular of a brand as some others that they haven't done, but I still really love it, and I like how they've got the texturing for the fur coming down at the sides. I think that looks amazing. But I really don't like the fact that this figure is in this series, because I think it could have easily just been in a Lego City theme and it would have been absolutely fine, rather than using it in this series. But, you know, it's a nice inclusion. Anyway, on to the next figure. The next one you get is the Triceratops costume fan. I'm glad to get another animal costume one because I collect them all. And this, apart from the one in the new Chinese New Year family reunion set, I have all of them, I believe, so far that they've done. But yeah, this one's really nice, and I think will look really great next to the other dinosaur one that they did last time. I actually think this one might look better than that one, possibly. I just love the molding for the head. I think it looks really good, especially the horns on the top. The colour is really nice as well in this olive green colour. And the arm printing is good. It's got arm printing. It hasn't got any leg printing on the side, unfortunately, but the front it has, and it's got the toes there. The torso is pretty good at the front. The back is also really nice with his brown markings. The tail is really nice and is very similar to the one from the other dinosaur figure, but in a different colour. And the head is double-sided. It's got a smile like that there. And on this side, it's got a bigger smile. I love this side. I think this is a really cool and different head design. But yeah, I think this is a good figure. It's not my favourite, but I do like it, and I think it is one of the better costume minifigures of recent years. And I'm really glad to get more than one dinosaur, because it just is a nice way to build up different styles of dinosaur. Although it does seem strange to me that they're doing two different types of dinosaur, but so many other creatures they've only done one of. Like, they've only done one type of dog. They've only done the pug one. But I'm not going to complain. I really like this figure. And I'll be excited to put this with my other costume ones. But yeah, it's not one of my favourites, and it doesn't come with any actual things it can hold, which is kind of a shame. It should have come with something like a leaf or something, just to show that Triceratops are herbivores. But I still really like this figure, and I think it's a great addition. And this is one also, yeah, that I don't think would necessarily need to be sold separately, unlike the Dog Groomer one, which I think could easily be sold as a separate thing. Next one in the collection is the Vampire Knights, and I believe this is a favourite amongst a lot of people. I do love the design, I have to say, and the accessories are fantastic, especially the double-sided axe. The shield is very well printed, and even the cape is very well printed. But I personally prefer fabric capes to paper ones. I know some of my very favourite figures of all time have paper capes, like the Darth Vader one, but I do really like the fabric ones. I've got to say I'm not really into vampires in general, so this figure perhaps doesn't appeal to me as much as some people, but I do still love the inclusion of having 3 accessories if you count the cape. Well, 4 if you count the helmet, but I don't really count that. But I think it looks great. The shield is really nice. The shaping, the colours, everything about it just looks brilliant. And it's a nice callback to an old sub-theme of Castle. But if you remove the accessories, you can get a better look at some of the details. Such as the helmet, like I said, which I think is really good. The torso is really well printed. It looks really clear. And the red and gold combination is fantastic. It reminds me of like a strawberry with little pips in it, even though they're not gold, but you know. I know it's a weird combination, but that's what it reminded me of when I saw it, like a strawberry, the skin of a strawberry. The legs look really nice. For some reason, they remind me of batteries with them little pluses on. I don't know why. There's no leg printing on the side, although it's dual molded, which is really good. The arm has a little bit of printing, and it does look good, what it does have. And like I said, I'm not really into vampires, so I probably prefer it with the helmet on, but you can remove the helmet. And it has got dual molded head. No, sorry, not dual molded, double-sided head. So you get a more sinister side with the eyebrow raised and a normal, more casually angry face. You don't really get one that's particularly happy looking, but that's fair enough for a knight, I suppose. They're probably quite angry a lot of the time, and probably for good reason. They've got a lot of battles to solve. But I really do like this figure, more than I thought I would actually, because I like to sound not into vampire stuff. But I do really like how the red eyes show through on the helmet when you've got it on. And the print is really clear. And I would like to put this with some of my other castle-style minifigures, which they've done in other minifig series. And although this isn't perhaps the best one out of all of them, it is still a really well-printed figure. And I'm really glad they did it. As for extra pieces, you just get this extra spike, what they've given you. So, not a lot, but I would have preferred an extra of something else, like an extra of the blade piece on the axe. But fair enough. Anyway, moving on. Next on the list is the Goat Herd. This again is one of my very favourites in the series, and it is also one I feel could fit really well with the castle theme. I've noticed that actually in recent years in the minifigure series, they seem to be doing more and more figures that would fit alongside the castle theme, and I actually think that's a really good thing. I love the dual molded legs with the olive coloured section at the top. I like how there's a bag hanging down from the pocket, which can be used to hold food or coins. You've got a nice staff to herd the goats, because yes, this is the goat herd minifigure, of course. You've got the torso, which is pretty plain, but I like the woolly jacket that's over the top, or the woolly flaps over the top. I think that looks really nice. He could have even shaved his goat or sheep to wear it. The bit around the neck looks really nice. There's no unprinting though, which is unfortunate. Actually, there is on this side. Sorry, there's a patch, but there isn't any on this side. But that is really good. I don't think they need it on both sides. You get a bag on his back, which is really useful for putting his accessories in, like the staff, or most importantly, this. And you get this nice hood in brown, which you don't get in brown that often, so it's nice to get it in brown. In fact, I don't even know if it's been in brown before. I think it has, but I'm not entirely sure. You get an alternative face, with more cheery and smiling. He's got a very big moustache. I like the main face though here. I just think it looks like he's whistling to himself, and that's really fun. He's just like really tranquil and happy to be walking his goat around. And it's just a great figure. Yeah, there's not a lot really you need to say about it, but it just looks really good. The face printing is very different. It's not too common to get a face that's got this sort of mustache and beard sort of combination. I think it looks really good. But obviously one of the highlights of this figure for a lot of people is the fact they've now included the goats. They brought the goat back, which will annoy some people because now they might pay loads of money for a goat. And yes, it's not the same. It doesn't have the brown printing on, but it's still a goat. Some people just wanted a goat because, you know, they want it amongst their other animals that are farm-related stuff like pigs or sheep or cows. But now you can get a goat, and it's easy to get in this. So I'm still happy about that because I like different Lego animals in general. I think they're great. I'm not a huge goat person. I'm not like, oh, I must collect the goat, and like some people, but I'm really glad to get a goat, and I think it will go well with the other farm animals. Yeah, and I think I could put this figure maybe with some of my medievally stuff, like with a medieval blacksmith or something. But I don't know, or I might just keep and build some sort of animal sanctuary. Who knows? But anyway, I love the goat, and obviously it is still the highlight of this figure. But the figure shines through in every sense. It's in terms of the bonus parts, you get another staff, which is just a stick piece or blade, lightsaber blade, and then you get an extra one of these white tiles. It would have been nice if this had a little bit of a print on, but I don't know what they would have printed it with. But yeah, I think it's a really nice piece in general. The next figure up is the Train Kid. I'll start by saying this is not one of my favourite minifigures. I do like it, and I do appreciate these types of figures, the ones with the vehicles for bodies, because they did a car one, they did a boat one, and they did a plane one, so now they did a train one. And I've been saying ever since, oh, they're going to definitely do a train one now, because they've done the other main forms of transport. So now you can basically get one for each of those forms of transport, which is nice. But as much as I like these, I think they do get old quite quick. I personally think that they're not the most interesting for, like, if you wanted to use them outside of keeping them in this display series, because I just don't think they're that useful. I mean, you could use this one outside a toy shop, I suppose, but apart from that, I don't really feel like it would be the most useful of ones. I actually think the piece that you get for them is actually more useful than probably the thing as a whole, because you could just use it as like a micro scale model in a shop window or something. But I really like the design of the train, what they have done with it. The 25 printed dish piece is really good, and you do actually get a spare one, which is really nice to see. I wasn't expecting a spare of this. So you could use this for like a house build and have it as like a house number, or you could just use it for anything that requires a number or detailing. You also get a spare of these pieces, the trans 1x1 tile and the black 1x1 plate or stud that has the hole in it. And you also even get a spare of the little quill or I don't even know what they call it now. The quill, or like, that piece. Flame. It's like a flame piece, isn't it? They use it mainly as flames actually in Orange, don't they? But yeah, that. And you get a spare, and it goes on the front of the train as smoke, which is quite a nice part usage. I really like the wheels, how they're red, but they contrast nicely with the green body. But one thing I don't like is the middle wheel is actually light red, whereas the outer ones look more like dark red. I don't know if that's intentional, but I personally don't like how they've done that. I think it'd be better if they were all light red. The figure itself is nice. It has a injured eye, which I'm not necessarily a fan of that look, but I think it's nice that they add in some variety. He's also got glasses on. The hat is nice. This was used in the Paperboy minifigure from one of the other series. I think the previous series, maybe the one before, I can't remember. But it's now in this blue colour, which is nice. The torso is really good. You don't get an alternative face on this figure though, which is a shame. That's the first figure in this series I've looked at so far that doesn't have an alternative face. But yeah, you get to see the torso there, which is quite a nice design and does feel like someone who would be riding a train would wear this. The back is pretty simple, but it's really nicely done. And the legs, you can barely even see them because they are the mid legs and they're hidden behind this massive section. But they look good too, but they haven't got any printing on whatsoever, which is a bit disappointing compared to the other figures that I've managed to look at so far. But yeah, I think this is a decent figure, but yeah, definitely not one of my favourites. Definitely not, personally. But I can understand the appeal of it, and the completionists who want to get all 4 of the different transports in the costumes will definitely like this, and I've got the others, so it's cool to do that, but it's not a big priority to me. One of my definite least favourite figures in the series is this one, which is the Harpy. I'm just not a fan of this one, really. I love the legs, though, how they've used the moulded legs that are from the Stranger Things sets for the Demogorgon, and the claws on the feet look nice. But I just don't really like this figure much. I think it's fun and it's different. It's called the Harpy, but I don't know. It's very niche even for me. I think it would be good maybe on a space display as some sort of weird alien. But apart from that, I don't know really what you could use it for if you wanted it for another use other than in the series. I know a lot of people would just keep these figures in the series, but I like to think of how they can be used outside of the series. I think it's cool. I like the wings. The wings look pretty good, I would say. They're probably one of the best parts about it. But I don't know. It just doesn't really do it for me. The hairpiece uses that weird hairpiece in purple, and it uses like a pinkish coloured head. The torso is quite nice, I guess, in terms of the printing. It's got a bit of arm printing. Hasn't got any side leg printing though. It comes with these gold claws, which are quite common with these sort of weird creatures. Like I said, with the Demogorgon figure from Stranger Things, they have these claws and they have these same leg pieces. So they've obviously got some ideas from that to like make some sort of weird creature that perhaps could even be in something like Stranger Things. I'm personally not a huge fan of the fact that the back of the torso is so much covered up by these wings, but you can get an idea of what it looks like under there. There's no printing on the back of the legs either. There's no alternative head printing, but that's because of the way that this hairpiece goes on. You wouldn't be able to cover it, so I can understand that. But I still think it's better when figures have alternative faces because it does give you more playability and customization. But yeah, I really like this figure in some ways, but I don't think it's one of the better ones in my opinion. Also, from that one, it's worth mentioning you do get a spare of the gold claw piece. A figure that I at first overlooked is the fitness instructor. First I was like, oh, this is quite generic, it's another city style one, but I actually love this figure, it's really nice. The torso is really ripped on the abs, it just looks fantastic to get figures like this. And obviously she's the sort of instructor you would want to work out with because, well, she's obviously good at what she does. The printing on the arm is absolutely great. It's one of the highlights of the whole figure for sure. The tattoo, it just looks fantastic with that purple and blue colour scheme, and it's got like little roses on there and flowers. It just looks great to me. The branded bra that says Sport on looks fantastic too. The prints that you get, amazing for the Vita Rush bottle, although it is quite common to get Vita Rush branded stuff from the LEGO City theme, so it's not the most impressive, but, And the printed kettlebell is great too, with the 10 weight on. It's really nice now that they're doing weights that are actually printed, because they've done a lot of figures over the history of Lego over the last few years, which represent people who are like fitness people or gym characters, and they don't really have many of them where they have sort of representations of weights that look like they are really this accurate or this detailed. So it's really nice to see that. The legs are pretty simple. There's no side leg printing, no back leg printing, and no front leg printing apart from the belt section. The head is really nice. It's got like sweat coming down its face, which is always good to have. It's the little details to me that make these figures great. It's got an alternative face print, which is always nice. It's obviously got some nice back printing, which also looks really powerful and strong. I personally think this face print is probably better than the other one, but they both look really good. The hair is quite nice as well. I don't actually recognise this hair piece. I don't know if it's a new piece or I just haven't seen it, but I don't recognise it. And I think this figure speaks for itself, really. I think it's great as it is. I wouldn't say it's the most interesting in the world, but I think the details are really there, like the abs and the tattoo and everything. And, I think that it's nice that they didn't just pick a male figure for this, because obviously female gym trainers and that are very important. It's not just the male ones. So, and they could have just chose the easy option of a male one, but I don't think it would look as good as this. This one has a lot of details, and I love the arm printing. It's great, but well, it might look as good a male one, but I just like, you wouldn't have got like the printed bra section, and I don't know, I just like the hairpiece as well. I prefer female hairpieces to the male ones. I just find them more interesting, but that's just me. But anyway, I love that figure, and you get a spare top for the bottle and a spare grip for the kettlebell. Probably my favourite minifigure in the whole series is the Film Noir Detective. I like everything about this figure. I think it's great. The legs are quite simple. There's no side leg printing. There's no side arm printing. But the coat is fantastic. I love the grey and black and white monotone colour scheme of it. I think it's fantastic. It gives you vibes of old detective shows. And even at first glance may remind you the head of something from Laurel and Hardy. The red herring is literal in the sense of an actual red herring fish piece. The magnifying glass is fairly common for these sort of figures, but it is always nice to have, and obviously fits the character's meaning very well. The face expression is fantastic, although there is no alternative face, which is a bit of a shame. But considering the hat they've used for this, I think there would be a challenge to make it have an alternative face. In this scenario, I can understand why, and I'm slightly biased, like I said, towards this figure because it's my favourite, I think. But I think, yeah, it's definitely made up for. I think this figure, the lack of leg printing and the lack of a head extra printing, I think it's definitely made up for with the accessories, the torso. The hat is fantastic in that grey and how it tilts downwards, and also just the general fact you could use this figure in so many different ways. Because it's quite a general figure, you could put it in any setting and he could just be looking for crimes and it would work almost anywhere. I think it would be great anywhere. I think this, like some people have said, I've read, would go really well with the new Chinese New Year set, because there is actually a red herring piece in that as well. And he could be like a detective looking for clues that that restaurant has been up to something dodgy. But yeah, this figure is great, and I can't wait to use this somewhere. I don't know where I'm going to use it yet, but I'm going to put it outside a building or something. But anyway, there's not a lot else you need to say on it, really. The back of the figure looks like this, by the way. It's pretty simple. I don't like how difficult some of these paper elements are to put on. Sometimes I do it wrong, even though it looks straightforward, but sometimes I do it wrong. But it does look really great at the front like that, I think, as his collar. At the back, not so much, but I think it's worth it in this case. But anyway, on to the next one. This figure is called the Fierce Barbarian. The first thing I notice about it is that it uses the new Dream sword pieces, now in pure silver. I think that looks fantastic. I love they use that. I haven't actually got the ones from Dreams, the sword pieces, because I've only got a polybag Dream so far, but I love the sword design. It's just brilliant. And it's probably the highlight of this figure for me. You also get this hairpiece, which I think is new, especially the band across. And I just in general love red coloured hair. I think it looks fantastic. So it's really nice to get another one of those. The face is double sided in this case. You get this face, which is very angry and has the eye makeup, and then this side is more of a casually stern face. The torso and legs are both printed really well. They look really clear to me and opaque, and they are top quality. There's some of the top quality Lego printing I've ever seen on a figure. I would say it might even be even better, possibly, than the printing on the Vampire Knight one. But I'm not really into this figure in so much in the theme of it, but it is still a great figure. The torso is really nice and detailed, and I feel like this would fit really well with the Vikings theme. And the back of the legs look good, but there's no printing. The side of the legs actually have side printing, and I like how they've used the material there, and it's like ruffled. I think that's fantastic. The arm printing's good too, and you get that on both sides. And the dual molding looks fantastic here, with the brown and the dark red. I don't even think I've seen that brown and dark red dual molded combination actually. I like the bandages on the legs; they look good too. I think this figure, yeah, although it's one of my least favourites in the series, although a lot of people might disagree with that, I think for the printing quality and the sword, it's fantastic, and the new hairpiece, yeah. But there's not what else needs to say on that figure, so moving on. And also you don't get any spares with that one, from what I've seen. This figure is known as the Sprinter, but the first thing you will obviously notice is that it has both legs as paraplegic, and I think that looks awesome. They've done single leg ones before, but a double leg one is just brilliant. I think it's really nicely done. And it really adds a lot of diversity and variety to minifigures. Another thing you'll notice is that you get this printed brick with the number 1, which I can see this being useful outside of this figure, perhaps for buildings, or just generally for sig figs or any sort of thing where you want a number 1 to be used. I'm not a huge fan of the hairpiece, although I don't know if it's new or not, I'm not sure. I think it could be, but I'm not a huge fan of these sort of hairpieces, the ones that are really like this. I prefer more straighter, smoother hair, but that's just more me in the way it looks, personally. You don't get any arm printing, which is a bit of a shame. Personally, I think they could have done with an armband, like a sweatband or whatever. You get a medal, which would have been nice if it had been a print. I know they don't normally have printed medals, but I think it would have been a nice change if it had a print of a number 1 on it or something to match the number 1 on here. And also they could have made the medal look more gold because it looks a bit bronze, and I think if it's in first place it should look more gold. There's an alternative face print on this one. There's a happy one like he's won, and this one is more of a determined face or an annoyed face that he didn't win, which is funny because he's got first place. Maybe he didn't want to win first. Or maybe the person next to him went first, and that's why he's got a bronze medal, because he's just standing next to it going, that should have been mine, I should have won first, but I'm going to stand next to it anyway. I don't know. But I do love the colour scheme, and it looks really nice. And one thing that annoys me about this figure is that the medal, as great as it looks, covers up the fact that it says 2024 under there. I think that's a bit of a shame. But it does look really good, that purple colour scheme. And also just the banner across. And is that banner supposed to be the transgender flag? Or am I getting confused? But it looks a bit like it. Actually no, isn't that? No, that's blue, isn't it? That's blue, pink and white. Yeah, I don't know. It looks really good. But the only thing I don't like again is, well, apart from this being covered up, and I'm not a huge fan of the hair, I wish that this brick was printed on both sides. I know that might not be totally realistic, but I think it would make it look better if you had this figure looking at it from the back. You do get to see this at the back though, whereas at the front it's covered up. And as you can see, it says 2024, which is really nice because obviously this figure is from the 2024 series, and that's really fun. And it would be good for people who are entering into running in this year. But yeah, I actually really like this figure. I mean, I'm not really into the sporty ones as much, but I think the legs and the printed block and also the medal and the fact it's got 2024 and it really sells this figure more. Although I do wonder what I could use it for, apart from maybe in a sports shop, or if I had set up some sort of race around, I don't know, around
around a city or something. But you'd have to get loads of different ones of these or other variants of different runners. But it could be done, and I think it's pretty fun. But it doesn't come with any other accessories. But you do get a spare of the medal, which is really good because these medals are actually not cheap to get these accessories. They're like £1, I think, on Bricks and Pieces. So I'm really glad to get an extra of those because they are just a fun piece to have in general and good for making other sports related characters if you wanted to. Now we are down to the last two minifigures in this series. This one is the esports gamer. Things I really love are the head and hair combination. I love the teal coloured lipstick. I love it when they do them sort of weird colours for different facial parts. I think it's fantastic. And also it really fits the cyberpunky vibe of this figure and matches the fact that this keyboard is like got the glow effect on that a lot of gamers like to get on their specialized keyboards. You also get a mouse that's got the same effect. It's the first time I think getting a representation of a computer mouse actually in Lego, which will be really useful for people who want to make whole desks and computers and laptops and things. And well, not a laptop really, but yeah, I think it's really good. And the torso is nice because it's a callback to the Black Falcon Knights again. And maybe this is a gamer who's perhaps on a team of gamers who follow Falcon, follow castle related stuff, which would make sense. I don't like the lack of printing on the trophy. I think that's a miss. They could have put something on it, like the word gamer #1 or something. But it's good to get a trophy, I guess. But it's so generic, this trophy, that I think they could have done something better. I like that you get the headphones in green. They have done them in green, I think, before, but it's nice to get them in green because they're not that easy to get in green. I don't think they've done. I think they've done them in green before. The legs though are really annoyingly boring at the front. They've got no print at all, and they're not dual molded or anything. But at the side, they're quite nice. They've got this really nice azure part that stands out, and it's also got the falcon on there, which is brilliant. The legs at the back have no printing though either, which is again disappointing. And the arms do have sleeves, which is really good to get, but there's no other printing, which they could have done. But the sleeves are still really nice. And on the back of the head, you do get, like I say, another face expression. And the cheery expression looks just as good, I think. And also you get that Vita Rush printing again. So the Vita Rush is obviously a very big influence on sports in this Lego universe because even the electronic gamers are getting promotion from them. So they obviously either are very desperate for people to promote them, or they're just so successful that everyone is allowed to promote them because they're just like, well, we're so successful, we're not going to lose money if you promote us, so we're just going to let you do what you want. But yeah, this figure is actually really nice. I like this figure, but again, it's another one like the dog room out where it could have been in just a city set, a city figure, city, whatever. But I still like it, but I love the side, and I love the cyberpunk vibe. But I feel like this figure still as a whole is perhaps not as good as it could be. And I also think that the earphones, although I said I love them in the green, and it's hard to get them in the green, I think another colour might have complemented the outfit better. Perhaps a blue or a pink to match the hair, or just some other colour, I think, other than green. Although the green does match some of the highlighted parts on the keyboard and the mouse, so it does kind of make sense, I guess. But then the keyboard has orange on as well, and there's nothing here that's orange color coordinated. But yeah, it's a good figure, but it's again not one of my favourites overall. Although the head and hair combination is pretty great. Right, and now we're down to the very last figure. Oh, actually, before I say that, you also get a spare of the headphones and the mouse piece, which I'm really pleased to get a spare of these because these are useful for other things. Yeah, and down to the last figure in the series, which is again one of my absolute favourites in the series. Probably my second favourite, possibly third favourite, I don't know. Actually, probably third favourite, I think. This is the Mushroom Sprite one. And the first thing you'll notice, which is one of my favourite things about it, is the new printed butterfly piece. I think that is awesome. It uses the black piece, again, which one of the other designs of butterfly does, the one that's like in the Friends Botanical set. But this time the print is different. It uses green and blue combination. And it is, and it looks, and I think this might be the best butterfly print ever so far. I think this might be the best one they've done out of all the different butterflies that they've done printed ones. There is actually a new printed butterfly in the new Family Tree Ideas set as well, which looks really good. But I think this one is still the best butterfly print ever. But anyway, let's look at the rest of the figure. And here it is, completed. The first thing I'll say is you don't get any spare pieces with this figure, which I really wish there was another spare butterfly. That would be so good, because I love this butterfly. I've got to get another one of these for doing mocks and things, because they're so nice. So I have to get another copy of this figure. I also love the headpiece. It's brilliant for a mushroom, and I don't think they could have done it better for what it is. And I just like mushrooms in Lego. I think they're great, and they really add a splash of colour to landscaping and things. It would be quite big on a landscape, this sort of mushroom, but it's really good. You get this white skirt piece. It's from like the Trolls theme. I don't think they've done it in white before. I don't believe, and I'm really glad they've done it here because I love getting these pieces in different colours. I don't know. I'm just really a big fan of the hard plastic skirts. I think they're actually really fun. They are a bit short for a lot of figures because this figure has got only the shortest legs, so it fits a bit better. But I still really love these skirt pieces. The actual figure's outfit is pretty fairly plain. There's no arm printing whatsoever, and it's mostly white. I'm not a huge fan of the outfit, and the back it's really plain too. Even the leg printing is pretty simple. There's not really anything interesting there. And the head is double-sided, and it has quite a nice face on both sides. This one feels very innocent. It feels like a child's one, maybe. And it's fun, and it goes really well. I think this would go really well with the acorn costume one that they did for the boy one. I think it's supposed to be a girl one. Yeah, they did a acorn costume boy one before, and that was really nice as well. I love that one too. The top of it shows there's a hole in there, which means you could actually put another accessory on the head. I don't know what you would put there, but you know, it's interesting that they've included that. The main thing about this figure that you may notice is the fact that it will annoy you because it means they really could have done a Toad from Mario minifigure with this headpiece, but they've chose not to, which is really frustrating. I really don't know why they still haven't done any Mario minifigures yet. It's just ridiculous. But yeah, but this figure's still great, and like I say, it is one of my absolute favourites in this series. Although I would say the detective, I think, still surpasses it. And the butterfly and the headpiece are what stand out the most. So they are all of the figures in this series. That is all 12 of them. So there we are. That is all 12 of the figures in this series. So which are your favourites out of all of them? To me, the best ones in this series are this one, and this one. Followed by this one, this one, this one, and possibly this one. My least favourites are these two, as well as this one, and this one. These ones, I think, are the least good ones, and the rest, I think, are the best ones. But they're just my thoughts anyway. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you feel free to like, share, and subscribe for more videos. And see you again in the next one. Goodbye.